G'day gang, Simo and Ed back for another episode of the Fast Line Track Growth Show, where we talk all things karting and business.
Cool.
So, this week, what are we talking about?
Well, this is the second part of a two-part video series, and we're talking about sabotage in your business.
Great.
Oh, great. And we're also talking about how to avoid it. So in the first video, we talked a bit about what is sabotage. We gave you, 3 or 4 scenarios, I think it was, around what sabotage might look like. So hopefully that you can spot it. And then we started to delve in a little bit about how to avoid it. So we talked about how to recruit correctly, making people accountable for their actions so you can identify non-performers. And then we ended up, I think, on the need to know the basics. So how to align your strengths and what information you give to people. So that's sort of nice and married together quite nice. It's almost like we planned these things.
All right, so we're going to go through another 6 points on how we can avoid this.
Cool.
This week. Yep.
Let's dive straight on in there.
Sounds good. Point 5, Ed, what's that?
The next point I'd make really is that you need to aid decision making. Part of sabotage comes in when people get frustrated, bored. The devil makes work for idle thumbs, is it?
Idle hands.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can't even remember the saying. But when people are left alone at work and they get bored or they've got time to think or anything, then that's a problem. And quite often the log jams in the business are people in your company are waiting for decisions to be made. And I see so many business owners that sit down looking at the minutiae detail in the company. And I think it's Bezos over at Amazon, or is he left now? He's about to leave soon, isn't he? But he talks, I think, about type 1 and type 2 decision-making processes. So type 1 is low cost and sort of easy, like low-risk decisions. And then type 2 tend to be very high risk and also high cost. And lots of almost all your decisions, first of all, are going to end up as type 1. So they're going to be low cost, low risk. And you've got people waiting around and they can see what the answer's going to be, and that's when tedium, boredom sets in, and that's when their mind starts to wander, and all of a sudden you're starting to develop an environment where they creatively can start to design a role which perhaps is going to sabotage your business.
So what do we do with type 1 decisions? Do we push that down the line?
Yeah, so when I had a proper big company, I used to get them to fill out a sheet of paper, and there's a few questions on there. And first of all, they had to define the problem.
Right.
And that quite often used to lead to a really simple decision. And then when they had said what they wanted to happen, they would write down 3 or 4 answers on what they wanted as outcomes or possible outcomes. And then there was a column in there that said, and how much would it cost if it goes completely wrong.
Right.
And depending on where you are in the company, depending on what decisions you can take. So some of the people that were working for me were taking some really big monumental decisions. We won't get too much into that today. We should do a whole video just on that, because it's such a clever way to just go and deal stuff. Are we keeping you awake today?
Yeah,
well, it's been a long day. It's been a good day, actually.
It's been a good couple of days. Been a busy couple of days.
We would talk about that, because that would be really useful, actually. But the trick in the short term is to just give the people that work for you permission to make a few mistakes. And it's really bad if you jump on mistakes quickly. So if you're just, and I understand that the adrenals are flowing, you're trying to do stuff for your business, somebody goes and makes a mistake. But if they've just made an £80 mistake, and like on the whole they get everything right, let it go.
Yeah.
Just check there's understanding on their behalf and forget about it and pull the leg about it, and it'll all be fine. So aid decision making, let some stuff go, don't jump on mistakes, keep moving forward. That being said, there is a time and a place for feedback. I don't enjoy this, but I say be bold is one of the expressions I use a lot in business, but tell them. In the scenario which I've just described, if it's been an £80 mistake and it's just happened and I'm there, I'll deal with it immediately. What did you do that for? Have you just, has the credit card gone through? Okay, cool. do you know why that's not the best thing for the company? So I'm just going to check understanding first of all. Then I'm going to just tell them why it's a bad thing. So even when they go, yes, I understand, I'm going to repeat it to them. And then feedback might be, I'm not going to let that one go for a while. We're going to pull your leg around it about it. Because if it's a small business problem, I'm going, I don't know how long it'll be before I forget that one. And it's dealt with then, isn't it? And then we can have a laugh and a joke, and we've maintained everything. But it's really important to be bold and tell them.
I'm still being harassed for a mistake I made about 5 years ago.
What, by me?
No.
Okay, good.
By my staff.
Excellent.
A whole lot of snow one year.
Yeah.
A large customer who wanted all these snow shovels couldn't get them.
Okay.
Then the next year, when it was the snow season, one of our suppliers had these snow shovels, but you had to buy 50 of them at a time.
Okay.
So I bought 50, thinking, I'll get rid of these. Right, they're still sitting up in the rafters. It didn't snow for about 5 years.
Excellent.
So
this might be a very good moment to take a break. So if you want to buy a snow shovel, they come in batches of 50. I could do you a really good deal.
I've sold 2
last
week.
If you want 48, if you want 48 snow shovels, I can do you a really good deal. You do know that now. I know that there'll be jokes coming as soon as we get a little bit of snow. That's probably a good way to handle most problems. And the great news is most of your employees, they're not going to have the ability to really impact your business too much. Unless they're making £80 a day decisions that are costing you over time. But this is why time and a place for feedback is so important. So if you have got a loose cannon in your company, but you quite like the cut of their jib and you want to keep them around for a while, you might just have to check in with them fairly often in the early days, and that's not a bad idea anyway. And then over time, as you start to establish the rules, you can start to widen out the gap of time before you really, it's very light touch and they can just get on with stuff without having to worry too much.
Point number 7.
Yep, spend on security.
Pretty obvious one, isn't it?
Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
A few cameras here and there.
Yeah. It could be cameras. Your IT actually have probably got solutions for most of your security issues. They can probably start to look at stuff. I know I'm not technical enough software-wise to understand what they can, or the possibility of what they can do, but I know things like they can tell you if your database has just been copied. They can tell you if there's large file transfers going out from an employee's email. They will definitely be able to give you the ability to go and have a look at what's in the email system for employees. You can do that covertly, but tell them. Just say, I'm going to have a look in your emails occasionally. And even just saying it is often enough to quell that problem. It will create a couple of other areas. The ones that really are adamant about stealing from your business like a database. And they know you're looking at their company one. They're going to find a way to get on their personal files or transfer files. So, but your security, spend a bit of money on that. It will stop it. Security cameras, you've just mentioned. There'll be other avenues that you can go and have a look down. We're moving more and more to a cashless society, aren't we?
Yeah, they're trying to do that.
But I might just be looking at things like, the classic is the swipe with the credit cards, where they clone them. I might just be looking at multiple credit card transactions from the same card. If they're coming in at, I don't know, £35 for a round of drinks and a little bit of food, and they do that a couple of times. But if I start to see suddenly that there's 8 or 9 transactions at my go-kart track, I think I should just be just checking in, or having a look at what's going on, or has there been a mistake made, or how do I go and where do I put the terminals? There's lots of things to think about, but just thinking around security and cutting them off at the pass. And just saying a few things about checking their email will go a long way to reducing the amount of sabotage in your business.
Yeah. Number 8. This is a favourite of mine.
It's a biggie as well.
Yeah, it's a huge one. And often neglected. And that is company culture.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to set out to build a company culture.
Yeah.
It can help with so many things.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, to get right? But yeah, so you should have a vision for your company, you should have a mission for your company and a culture. So vision is your overall, this is the war we're into using.
Where you're going to, the direction.
This is the ultimate, this is what we're aiming for. And then your mission is like, well, what's my immediate strategic objectives that we need to hit? So we get to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And then the culture is, now we know what we're trying to achieve and where we're going. The culture is like, this is how we behave, this is what we do, this is how we do it around here.
Yep. I mean, it's so important. Once you have those, you share that regularly with the team.
Yeah. Tell people when they come to work for you, this is our culture, we've got it written down actually. Do you want to have a read of that? Like, that's how we do it around here. Like, so they can make a decision whether or not to come and work with you. And it's fine if they say no at that point. But yeah.
Yeah. No, and I used to share it on a regular basis, 5-minute prayer meetings in the morning.
Mm-hmm. The huddle actually in the morning is really a good idea. 5 to 10 minute huddle does so much for your team culture. And you can just pick one item, just have a chat or even assign it to one of the team members.
Yeah.
And get them to get involved in creating the culture with you. I notice they not for you, with you.
do you know what else we used to do? We used to have a thing called cultural bingo.
Okay.
Right? And I've got, one of those wheels with all the balls in it.
Yeah, the bingo.
Bingo wheels, right? So that if you catch somebody living the culture you're trying to achieve, they get a bingo ball.
Cool.
Right? So, bingo, there was 78 prizes, I think there was. So I always have a biggie.
Yeah.
The last time we did it, it was a Nescafe coffee machine.
Oh, really? Nice.
Right? Then there was a few dinners for two, some bottles of champagne, some bottles of wine, some beers, some energy drinks, some Mars bars.
We should reintroduce that if you've stopped it.
Yeah, well, COVID put it again to that, didn't it? And it's just.
So here we are, great advocates for culture. Yeah, we used to do this. We stopped.
I mean, it's
back in.
Strangely enough, I want to sit down with you later today.
We'll sit down now, my friend.
and discuss some of this.
Cool.
It's good to do it. I want to redo my onboarding of employees.
Good.
Yeah.
And also that culture thing, just meeting people so regularly is good. And also the other thing, I used to have this in my business, catch people doing things right, is what we used to say. You go, I'm not so interested in catching them doing things wrong. We'll worry about that. Everybody else in the company, that was great for culture. Catch them doing things right and tell me. And then I'd get emails coming in all day long telling me about the great stuff that was happening in the company that was going really well. And it gave me a chance then to just have a one-line email back out to people going, hey, I heard you did this, well done. Hey, you did that, great. Oh, wow, you're making a habit of this. There's some little comments that you should just run out. Really help pull the team together.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm liking that a lot.
And the last point.
Yeah, the last one, this is going to be a little bit heavy, but there's a saying, change the people or change the people. I think as a responsible employer working with people, we're going to work really hard to go and get the culture right, get everything right, avoid the sabotage, give them a chance to go and shine, give them, I call it a vehicle for success of the company, the organisation, the go-kart track. It's going to be somewhere where they can reach whatever goals they're looking for. But if they don't want to come and play...
If you can't change the people, then change the people.
And it can be entirely appropriate to go and let people go. And there's no harm in that. If there is sabotage in your company, if it's not all coming together, if you're constantly having to stop and bring somebody along and it's just starting to weigh down on your time or your bottom line, then...
You said this in the last video. Hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
The book I co-authored in Australia, where we looked at the most successful Australian companies, you know what a common problem amongst all of these very successful companies was?
No, God.
They never got rid of people quickly enough.
Well, do you know what the most common response, and I've heard it off others as well, the most common response I got in my business when I sacked people was, the first. No, I'm going to say the first. This probably into context. The first time I sacked somebody, I must have been. I lost sleep for 2 or 3 weeks. It was horrible, and I felt awful. And then I finally had to face the fact that I had to sack them, and it took forever. And it would have been very slow getting to that point. And then as soon as I sacked them, it was the first time I heard that phrase, and I heard it from the person. I thought you were going to sack me sooner. And when I got out in amongst my team, they went, "Oh, thanks, like my lucky stars, you got rid of them." And I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, there've been a problem for ages. Why didn't you come and tell me?" And people don't tell the boss. And then I've hired and fired a lot of people over my years, and the most common phrase I hear when I fire people is, "Oh, thank my lucky stars, they've gone." People in your organisation will probably know who you're about to fire before you actually fire them. And that is so true, because if you're running a business, you head down and you're doing stuff, and you look out and you're in the bigger picture. And meanwhile, the rest of your company's running around doing all the stuff that needs to be done. Like, they see it faster than you. So trusted confidants in your business can help you really identify people very, very quickly. But I wouldn't just have one.
Yeah.
I'd have 2 or 3 confidants that just tell me, and they just come to me to talk about stuff like that. They don't talk about it to each other, and that gives me a more balanced view on the business, because you've got to balance all these personalities.
Right. Well, that's us done now.
Just getting to swing and enjoying this. Yeah, so we've covered what is sabotage. We've covered a few ways on how to avoid it. We've looked at recruiting correctly, making people accountable for their actions,
knowing the basics,
knowing what they need to know essentially on their basic information, and also making sure their strengths are aligned with your strengths. Policies in there to protect. Aid decision making, so you're not creating lull in areas where people can go off and creatively start to think about sabotage or other weird and wonderful things. Give feedback in a timely manner and decide on a place to give that. Be bold, tell and be blunt with your employees. You can still be supportive and blunt.
Spend on security.
Oh yeah. That's something we don't do enough of as human beings. Definitely spend on security.
Number 8 was company culture.
Yeah.
Developer.
That's that's a real biggie in our book. And the last one.
If you can't change the people, then change the people. So, there are our words of wisdom for this week.
I hope that helps you. If anything is, I feel like doing like the BBC National Service here. If anything just cropped up there that you need help with, here's your helpline. But if anything is just stirring up something emotively within you, and you need a bit of help on any of that, you reach out to us. People do. Thanks for all your emails and telephone calls that we've had. But if there's anything else that's coming up for you, then reach out. We'll help you with all this stuff.
Yeah. So it's goodbye from me.
Cheerio from me.
Goodbye from him. See you next week.
See you soon.